Today, we will be learning about relations. Our objective is I can represent relations as tables, mappings, or graphs, and I can interpret graphs. Here's our vocabulary for today. Please be sure to pause the video and write down all of the vocabulary words. Example 1, express the relation as a table, a graph, and a mapping. So remember, a relation is a set of ordered pairs. We're going to do our table first. So we just take our ordered pairs and we copy them into the table. The first number is your x value, and the second number is your y value. 3, -2. Okay, that's the easiest part. The next thing we are going to do is create our graph. So remember, when we're graphing, we always start at the origin. The x value tells us to go left or right. The y value tells us to go up or down. So our first one is 1, 1, right 1, up 1. Our next ordered pair is 0, 2. So we just go up to 2. And our last ordered pair is 3, -2, right 3, down 2. Those are the ordered pairs. The next thing we want to do is to create our mapping. When we create our mapping, we would like to arrange the numbers from least to greatest. Also, we do not write repeated numbers more than once. Okay, that's very important. If a number repeats, we only write it one time. So we are going to start by writing our x values from least to greatest. Well, we have here 0, 1, 3, least to greatest. Our y values from least to greatest, -2, 1, 2. And now that we have the numbers arranged from least to greatest, we draw arrows to connect our ordered pairs. So our first ordered pair is 1, 1. So an arrow from 1 to 1. The next ordered pair is 0, 2, an arrow from 0 to 2. And our last one is 3, -2, an arrow from 3 to -2. Okay, there's our mapping. And last but not least, we determine the domain and the range. So once again, for the domain and range, we arrange the numbers from least to greatest, and we do not write repeated numbers more than once. So our x values, that's our domain, and our y values, those are our range. So here are our x values, our domain and range. When we write the domain and range, we have to use our braces for our set notation. So just a quick tutorial to draw a brace. I draw a parenthesis, then I draw a V, then a parenthesis. That's one good way to do it. A parenthesis, then a V, then a parenthesis. You can practice a few times. Somebody said it kind of looks like a bird on the side, a parenthesis, a V, then a parenthesis. That's just the way I do it. Okay. Example 2. The graph below represents the height of a football after it's kicked downfield. Identify the independent and dependent variable for the relation, then describe what happens to the graph. So the independent variable is the variable. The dependent variable is the variable that is dependent on the other variable. Okay, so we have here height and time. So is time dependent on the height, or is the height dependent on the time? Okay, so the real question is, can we control time? We cannot control time. Time is independent of everything else. So time is always going to be your independent variable all the time. Also, if you have a graph, it's very easy to tell. The x-axis shows independent variables and the y-axis shows dependent variables. So our independent variable is time and our dependent variable is height. So that's the first part. Then it says describe what happens to the graph. So this is talking about a football that is kicked downfield. We see that here. A football is kicked downfield. we need to tell the story of this football. What happens when the football is right here? Well, at 0-0, with the football's on the ground, and then the football is kicked in the air, and then it comes back to 0, which means it comes back down to the ground. So the story of this football is the football is kicked from the ground into the air, and as time goes on, the ball falls back to the ground. I just told the story from the graph. I read the graph, told the story, and that is it. Pause the video and get this down in your notes. Now we have a you try problem. You try. Make the table, make the graph, make the mapping, state the domain and the range.